All right, here we go with chapter 9, you guys. 9.1 starts out simply just developing formulas for triangles and quadrilaterals. Excuse me, Mr. Photographer. What are you doing in my dark room?
Well, I'm waiting for my formula to develop.
Nerd. All right, so let's get serious. We're talking about the area of a figure. The area of a figure is just simply the number of square units that we have inside or contained inside of the figure. So for instance, if this is 1 square unit, this would be a 2 by 3, so there are 6 units squared inside of this figure. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each individual figure, shape, whatever you want to call it. We're going to start talking about their formulas. You need to know all of these. Now, you've had these before, so it shouldn't be too difficult, but some of them might be a little bit more difficult to remember. So, starting out nice and easy, the area of a rectangle. Remember, if we have a rectangle, to find the area, the amount inside, we take the length, and we multiply it to the width. Let me erase that. It's going to bother me. All right, so we take the length and we multiply it by the width here. Remember, the opposite sides of a rectangle are going to be congruent. So if I want to find the perimeter, it's going to be 2 of the lengths plus 2 of the widths. Okay? So if I give you a rectangle with a perimeter of 84 and a length of 8, and you're supposed to find the width, look at key words. First of all, we're talking about a rectangle. We're talking about perimeter. That automatically should indicate to you that this right here is the formula we want to use. I'm going to write it down. Perimeter equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Now that I have my formula, I'm going to plug things in. I know that my perimeter is 84. I know that my length is 8. And I want to find my width. Now it's a simple algebra problem. Well, 84 then will equal 16 plus 2w. Subtract 16. 84 minus 16, hopefully that you guys got that this is 68, hopefully, equals 2w. Divide by 2, 68 divided by 2, you find that your width is 34. All right, the second figure that we're going to review is the area of a square. Now, the square, remember, is very similar to a rectangle. It's just that its length and its width are the same. So instead of calling them length and width, we just call them sides. So if I want to find the area here, it's just side times side, which is side squared. Then if I want to find the perimeter, well, side plus side plus side plus side, well, it's 4 times the side. Okay, so side squared, 4 times the side. So if I ask you to find the perimeter and the area of the following square, let's start out with a formula. To find the perimeter, we need to do 4 times the side. In this case, I don't know what the side length is. However, you should know that this right here, when I throw the diagonal in, is a 45, 45, 90. If I have the hypotenuse and I want to go back to the leg, you're going to take 20 and divide it by the square root of 2. Each leg then is 10 square roots of 2. So my perimeter is 4 times 10 square roots of 2, which gives me 40 square roots of 2 units. Now the area, remember, is side squared. We found our side to be 10 square roots of 2. Now we have to square it. We'll square each individual piece. 10 squared is 100. The square root of 2 squared is going to be 2. And when you multiply this together, you get 200 units squared. I want you to notice, if they don't tell me what my units are, I put a U in for units. Okay? Either way, perimeter is just flat out units. Area, remember, is your units squared. So I'd like for you to try this problem, please. Please just find the area of this square. Pause it, and then come back. All right, again, this is a square, so it's a 45, 45, 90. To find the leg, we divide by the square root of 2, and it canceled, so each side is actually going to be 3. So now all you have to do is plug it into your formula. 3 squared is 9. I want you to notice, you guys, I write the formula down each time. It's good for you to do this, just to let you know, if a problem's worth 3 points, 1, 2, 3. All right, the next figure we're going to talk about is a parallelogram. I want you to notice a parallelogram is actually a rectangle here with a corner cut off. So if you take a look, if I have a rectangle here and I chop my corner off and I place it at the end, it becomes a parallelogram. Okay, so remember the rectangle is length times width. The parallelogram is very similar, it's just base times height because the width is no longer necessarily on the side. It's actually got to be the height, and the height's actually in the middle of your parallelogram here. So if you take a look at the example, find the area. Again, I start with the formula, base times height. I know my base here is 20. Now I got to find my height. The cool thing though is that I told you that this is a 45, 45, 90. If I have my hypotenuse of my 45, 45, 90 to find my two legs, which are the same, remember, I divide by the square root of 2. So my height becomes 3 square roots of 2. So this is 20 times 3 square roots of 2, which will give me 60 square roots of 2. All right, so first things first, I want you to find the area of the parallelogram. In order to find the height for this parallelogram, you're going to have to use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? Then remember, in a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. So if that's 34, that makes this 34 as well. So first things first, I want you to pause me. I want you to do the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to find the height of my parallelogram, please. All right, so we had x squared plus 30 squared equals 34 squared, and when you worked it out, your height should be 16. So now, to find the area of a parallelogram, it's base times height. Well, your base is 11, your height's 16, so your area is going to equal 176 millimeters squared. All right, next one says find the height of a rectangle in terms of x. In other words, your answer will have x in it, where the base is 3 and the area is 6x squared plus 24x minus 6. So let's take a look here. I've got a rectangle. I want to find the height if the base is 3. Okay? Now remember, if I give you area and I give you rectangle, you're probably going to want the formula for the area of a rectangle. Remember, area equals length times width, or if you want, base times height. Okay? So let's plug in what we know. We know that the area is 6x squared plus 24x minus 6. And I know that my base is 3, and I have to find the height or the width here, right? All right, well, first things first, I want to find the height, so what I'm going to do is solve for h. If I want h all by itself, I simply have to do the opposite here. I'm going to divide by 3. Now that means everything gets divided by 3. 6 divided by 3, so it's good. 2x squared plus 8x minus 2 equals the height. Now remember, this is actually going to be in inches, so I'm going to put parentheses around here so I could put inches my label. This is your answer, you guys. I solved for h. I'm successful. H is all by itself. Remember, in terms of x means it's okay to leave x into your answer. Just don't forget to put your label in there, please. All right, you guys, I'm going to draw a picture for you. This is my rectangle. I want you to find the perimeter in which your area right here is 79.8 x squared minus 42. So you're going to use the area and you're going to use the height right here to find your base, okay? So I want you to try step number 1, come back, and then we'll see how we did. All right, so I set it up. Area equals base times height. My area is the 79.8 x squared minus 42. The base is what I'm looking for, and the height's 21. So to solve for b, I divide everything by 21. So the base is actually 3.8 x squared minus 2. Now I want you to use the base and the height to find the perimeter. Now remember, perimeter is 2 times the length, or base, and then 2 times the height, or width. So let's plug it in. Perimeter is 2 times, well, I have 3.8 x squared minus 2 plus 2 times, and we said the height is 21. Now all I have to do is clean it up. Distribute. My perimeter is going to be 7.6x squared minus 4 plus 42, and then combine like terms. So your perimeter is simply 7.6x squared and then plus 38. Now don't forget, we're working in centimeters here, so your answer should be in centimeters. All right, moving on to our next wonderful shape, we have triangles and trapezoids. We put these together because despite the fact that one has two bases and one has one, they're the same formula. 1/2 base times height. 1/2 the sum of the bases times the height. It's the exact same formula. So if I ask you to find the area of a trapezoid where your first base is h, second base is 5, and your height is 6.2, all you have to do is plug it into your formula. So now remember, it's the sum of the bases over 2 times the height. So this is 8 plus 5 over 2, and then times your height, 6.2. Okay, that's 13 times 6.2 over 2. That gives me 40.3. Now don't forget we're looking at area here, you guys. So this is going to be inches squared. All right, next one says find the base of a triangle where the area is 15x squared. Now we're talking about a triangle, we're talking about area. So I'm going to write my formula. Area is base times height over 2, and then we're going to start plugging things in. So my area is 15x squared. My base is what I'm looking for, so base times the height, 5x, over 2. Now all we have to do is solve for b. So remember, we have to get rid of the fraction, so we're going to multiply by 2. I have 30x squared equals b times 5x. And then to get b by itself, simply divide by the 5x, you guys. So b is actually 6x. And don't forget your units. We're talking centimeters. All right, find the second base if the area is 231. So I would like to see from you the formula, you plugging it in, and then you solving to find base 2. Pause it, come back, and then we're going to see how we do. All right, so here's my formula, the sum of the bases over 2 times height. I plugged my area in my information that I had, multiplied by 2, divided by 11, and then subtracted my 23. All right, you guys, rhombuses and kites. To find the area of a rhombus and a kite, they have the exact same formula. All you do is multiply your diagonals and divide it by 2. So diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 divided by 2. So looking at the first one, find your second diagonal. If the first diagonal is 14 and the area is 238. So again, area is diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 over 2. Plug in what you know. 238 equals 14 times diagonal 2 over 2. Okay, I notice I could take half here. So this is 238 equals 7 times D2. Your second diagonal, D2, should equal 34 inches. All right, next one. They tell you that this diagonal here is 8x plus 7. This diagonal is 14x minus 6, and they want to know the area. Again, to find the area, we have to multiply our diagonals together, and then divide it by 2. So, we will have 8x plus 7 times 14x minus 6, and then divide it all by 2. Now in the numerator, you guys are going to have to FOIL. So I want you to pause, and I want you to FOIL this out for me, please. All right, so after FOILing, the 8x, 14x gives you the 112, and then we have 48, and the 7 and the 14, that gives me the 50x, and then 7 and 6 gives me the 42. Now, but you still have to take half, you guys. So when you take half of each one of these, your area is going to be 56x squared plus 25x minus 21. And don't forget it's area, so it's centimeters squared. Do not worry, you guys, about leaving those x's in that formula or in the solution, okay? All right, this next one can be kind of tricky here, all right? It says, the diagonals D1 and D2 form right triangles because they're perpendicular. Use the Pythagorean theorem to find x and y. Okay, well, first things first. I want you to notice this triangle right here has the hypotenuse and it has one of the legs. So we're going to take y squared equals 20, sorry, not y squared equals, I apologize, you guys. Y squared plus 28 squared equals 35 squared. Okay, when you solve this through, you get y squared is 441. So y has to equal 21. Okay, so this right here is 21. I would like for you to pause now and use this right triangle to help you solve for this piece here. Then I want you to help me find the area. So go ahead and solve for x, and then we're going to work on the area. All right, so you had 21 squared plus x squared equals 29 squared, and when you worked it out, you get that your x is 20. Okay, so now I want you to find the area of the kite. Remember, we had to find our diagonals first. So let's flip to the next page. We're going to find the area of our kite. All right, so remember, you guys, we had that this piece here, y, is actually going to be 21, and we had that x is 20, right? So don't forget that your first diagonal is the 20 plus the 28, so diagonal 1's actually 48. And don't forget that your second diagonal, these are bisecting, so if this is 21 here, this has to be 21, leaving me my second diagonal to be 42. So now diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 over 2 gives me 48 times 42 over 2, which is 1,008 inches squared. Please come ready with questions tomorrow.